Greetings, everyone. I'm introducing you to my new treat. Trying to really get rid of some of those bad habits, and it is not an easy thing, but I realize that there are other ways to sort of trick your body into eating healthier. Some of the stuff that we like to eat, really are like poison to our bodies. And so I'm replacing the sugary things that I usually crave with nuts. So this package has peanuts, corn, sunflower seeds, cashew, pumpkin seed, and roasted almond, and it's really working. It's really satisfying that taste for sugar. Now, when I want to really jazz it up, I had dark chocolate, pieces of dark chocolate to it. So you're getting, do your research, dark chocolate is really good for you. Anyway, it's not about treats. I'm just going to do a story time, but I thought I'd share some of my favorite things with you. Now, this story time involves some other women that I've worked with. And by the time this ends, I always hope to leave a moral lesson. Every time we have experiences, whether they are good or bad experiences, we must take away something from it. There must be a takeaway. And when I look back now, one of the things that I've learned is to stand up for myself and not to allow persons to manipulate me, because there's some very manipulative people in this world. And when we're talking about manipulation, what it goes across the board, it really doesn't just have to do with male or female. It doesn't have to do with race or class. You can find people who are just very manipulative across, the scope is wide. Anyway, I was working at this place, and it was an environment where I was really invisible. Let's put it that way. I was invisible. And but it didn't bother me, because I'm someone who I don't want to be invisible to other people, but when I'm treated as invisible, I just roll with that, because the part of me that likes to be alone anyway kind of ties in well with that. So you don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying come and treat me like I'm invisible and accept that, but I learn how to adjust. Now, when you're working, and most of us find ourselves in situation working in areas where people treat you badly, but you have to stay focused on what you want. At this time, my husband is in Jamaica, and is waiting for me to get our family together. There are times in one's relationship when you exchange roles, and so sometimes you are depending on one person, and sometimes the person is depending on you. This is one of those situations. So I didn't have the luxury of saying, well, I'm just gonna just follow toe to toe with people and be in people's face. Sometimes I had to just learn again how to surrender, not surrender my power, but in that part of that protest, I learned how to be humble. But there was a female, the only female in that environment, that would often come to me and have conversation, knock on my door, have conversation, ask me for ideas, and if she's afraid of anything or worried about anything as it pertains to the job, I would, give her advice or share my resources with her. But what I noticed shortly thereafter is that every time she sees the friends in the school, the other persons who, look like her, she would pretend like she didn't know me. So one day I was having a conversation with her, and she was just very nice and very cordial as usual. And then when her brethren came by, she pretended that I wasn't there. So I slowly walked away and went back to my space. And as soon as they were gone, she came to my door and having this big, nice conversation with me. And I said to her, no, you need to go away. You are not my friend. and I'm not doing this anymore. I said to her, you're not a nice person, and whatever is your reason for being this way, when you see your other friends or see the other people that I don't know who they are to you, but somehow you feel a deeper connection with them, that you don't mind insulting me when they are around. So you need to go. And the girl started crying. Well, you would think that I would just close my door and ignore her. No, no, no. There was this thing in me. Here comes the fear. Oh my goodness. I don't want anyone to see her crying in front of my room. Then they're going to say I bothered her. I took her into my arms and I was hushing her. Shh, shh. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all right. And just like a child, the tears dried up and she went back. Because she didn't like the fact that I called her out and said, you are not a nice person. Number one example. There's another female. Now she works in a library. And every time I would go in this library, she would tell me how the books I order had to do with equity and diversity and social justice. She said I was the only person who was doing that kind of work in that environment. And that she just loved what I was doing. I was not excluding anybody. All the, persons that I was working with must feel so included in what I was doing. And she was very sweet. Well, one day, certainly, I go to her to ask a question, and she was talking to another female, and when I tried to get her attention, I thought she didn't hear me. Twice I called her name, and twice she moved past me, and I thought, okay, she's just busy, she's not hearing me, until I realized she was deliberately blocking me out when the other ones were there, because as soon as they left, she turned her big bright sunny smile to me. On another occasion, I sent someone to return some books that I found in my space. And I said to her, I didn't rent these. They're not on my record, but I think someone might have left them here. And she took it and she made the comment, yeah, right, she's trying something. And of course, you have to be very careful what you say around kids. The kid came back and told me what she said. So I sent her a note. I said, excuse me, what are you implying? Because she made it sound as if I was stealing this book. And then I'm returning it because, she sent me a note to say it was missing, which had nothing to do with me. Well, when I sent the note, it says, excuse me, can you please explain what you mean when you said this? Well, she came to me and she started crying. And here I was now thinking, oh my goodness. Now if this woman is crying and someone see her crying, they're going to say I bothered this lady. Now, at the time, fear is ruling this thing, because I'm saying I can't afford to lose my job. And I can't afford to, hear that, okay, well, you're not getting along with the folks or whatever. You're making them cry. You're making them cry. This is my second incident. A third occasion, this other female saw me in the hallway and she asked me if I was there for the pizza. Now, we were told to stay late because we're having meetings. And so this meeting, everyone in that department had to remain for this meeting. And as a result, they ordered pizza. She saw me in the hallway and she said to me, oh, you stayed for the pizza? And I said, stayed for the pizza? I thought I stayed for the meeting. And she walked away quickly. And I could see that I offended her by what I said. So the next morning I go in and I said to her again, here is how fear is immobilizing me or controlling me or allowing me to let other folks control me. So I went to her early in the morning and I said, I said something to you yesterday and I'm just checking in to make sure that it's not misunderstood because of what you said to me. And she said to me, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry if you think that, almost like she was saying, if you are that important that you think you're on my mind or something like that. And I said to her, well, I just want to verify because it's very easy for that to be misunderstood. Because when you ask me if I'm staying for pizza, I was trying to figure out if there was another reason for me to be there. And the woman started crying. The woman was upset. And there I had to take her into my arms again. You would say, why would you do that? These persons offended you. But when you have fear, when you allow fear to take center stage in your life, even when people are violating you, you back down. You take that position where, oh, I don't want to make anybody upset. And I think that is what's happening to us in general. When we have these fears that we hold on to, people will abuse you. People will insult you. People will do all manner of evil to you. And because you have surrendered your power to them. All of a sudden, when they do you harm, you find yourself feeling like, oh my goodness, how did I offend you? Why am I the bad person? Now, that is a very common attitude. And those of you who have sense, you will know exactly the type of environment that I was working in and exactly the kind of women that I was working with. They were very manipulative. Hence, the reason for women to be seen in the Bible as these terrible creatures, because you see, individuals had to deal with some women who behave like that in their community, and therefore they kind of brandish all women across the board to say women are all this way. All, you know, when you look at movies or even books you read or whatever, you tend to see the woman being brandished a certain way. And I think some of that has to do with the prejudice, because individuals have women like that they deal with. It was not a good experience. I was, and I don't like to call myself a victim, but I was being victimized on a daily basis. Let me tell you, I'm writing a book, and it's primarily talking about my relationship with some of these women and some of the horrible situations that I went through dealing with them. But, you know, I had to. Well, maybe I didn't have to, but at the time I felt like I had to, because I was looking at what I had to lose. And you shouldn't do that. Never look at what you have to lose. Look at what you have to gain. And never allow someone to push you around or to manipulate you because you fear you're going to lose something. Don't do that, because when people realize that they can use you or abuse you or manipulate you, they're not going to change, because you've given them platform. You've given them an open door to come in, open season to come in and abuse you. And so when I stood up to that woman at the door and say to her, you're not my friend, don't come back here anymore, I was on the right path. I had the right to do that. But I relinquished my own power when her tears started flowing. Don't let people and their tears weaken you. Some people are very wicked. When I say wicked, some people are very evil. And if they know you have a soft heart, they will use tears to control you. Don't let people control you. Sometimes you have to be aggressive. Don't let anyone tell you have to be soft and gentle and meek and mild. Don't let them trick you with the BS that you got to turn the other cheek, because the only cheek I turn these days are the ones that are behind me. You see, these are control methods. These are stuff that they pack up in your mind. That's why even for my children, I allow them to speak. And sometimes when I am encouraging them to stand up for themselves, someone else who doesn't understand that might say, no, this child is rude, or you're letting the kid be disrespectful. No, I am teaching my girls to stand up for themselves, even sometimes to me. Because I'm a parent doesn't mean I'm perfect and that I'm all, seeing. And if they're getting out of line, then I can say, no, you can say the same thing, and I can teach them how to say it another way to maintain that respectful relationship between a mother and a daughter. So it's not like I'm giving them liberty to just say anything. No, but I'm not going to silence that little fire that I see within my own children, because somehow they told me that I'm not supposed to, speak up for myself. And when I did speak up for myself, I saw tears. Oh my goodness. Hey, some of these women, to be honest with you, they're vicious. And I don't want to disrespect women. I don't want you all to say, well, I'm bashing the women, but I'm telling you the truth. In all my workplace experiences, I've had better relationship with men, because as women, sometimes we can be very sensitive. But then there are some kind of women, some very special kind of women. They scare me, but I'm no longer afraid to stand up to them. So the moral of this lesson is, don't let people's tears frighten you. It's an emotion, one that you have and that you often have to control sometimes. Don't let people use their tears to control you. Do not allow people to use their tears to control you. It's their power they're using against you. And you must therefore understand it and stand up and defend yourself regardless. Don't allow fear to cause other folks to trample upon you. Say no to that. And yes to your right to speak up for yourself and to defend yourself. You know, you look back and you say, oh my goodness, if I had the chance, I would do this way. And it's gone. No point in worrying about what you should have done or could have done. Just learn. Take the moral lesson today and understand that you learn from those experiences. I can laugh about it now, but it was one of the most frightening things. Imagine people being rude to you, and when you address them in a more respectful way than they have addressed you, they end up crying and you have to hush them. Have you ever had any of that situation? Do you know people who are so conniving and so manipulative? They are so disrespectful. But when you stand up to them, all of a sudden you are the bad person. Share in the comment section. Let me hear from you. Stay blessed.